Hey guys! So our world has many impressive natural phenomena. Even the ground beneath our feet might surprise you with what it can do, and it can sometimes even terrify you. Let's look at the oddest and most mysterious phenomena, from ground you can jump on like a trampoline to huge sinkholes an entire factory fell into. Liquefaction. In March 2011, the Great East Japan earthquake happened. It caused massive damage to eastern Japan and was the cause for several huge tsunamis that destroyed the coast. This earthquake is considered one of the most powerful in history. But the residents of the Tokyo Gulf in the Kanto region ran into a different phenomenon. In the city of Uresu, pedestrians started seeing entire chunks of asphalt rising up as if there were some ancient deity under the ground waking up. A dark liquid flowed out between the cracks in the asphalt and tile, which flooded the street. In just a few minutes, the unusual power had pushed manholes aside and destroyed the sewer pipes while knocking power poles down. This unusual phenomenon is called liquefaction. It happens when strong vibrations make the atoms in the soil lose their bonds with each other. Then the ground changes from solid to liquid. The Kanto region was built on the sea back in the 17th century. Water from the Gulf was absorbed into the soil, making it loose and malleable, especially during earthquakes, when the ground rose and was flooded in water, which spread out for several miles in the city and its surroundings. Bouncy ground. These construction workers didn't believe their eyes when they discovered that the ground under them was like a trampoline. It looked absolutely normal, dry and loose, but despite that, it quivered and shook like a balloon filled with water. In the end, an explanation was found for this strange but very enticing phenomenon. It turned out that the former owner filled an old pool with clay, but didn't try out the groundwater like he should have. The ground was thick and fairly hard until it was touched. The loose soil mixed with clay and under high humidity easily gave way to the heavy excavators. Because of the strain, the ground became unstable. Because of the displacement, the mix of clay and soil particles started repelling and filling with water during supersaturation. A similar effect will happen at the beach if you mix sand and water. The silt absorbs moisture and quickly adapts to a liquidized state if there's an external force acting on it like vibration. To keep the ground from being bouncy, it needs more dry soil. But it seems these guys wanted to have some fun first. Breathing forest. In 2018, a Twitter user shared a video of a forest in Quebec that seemed to breathe like a sleeping giant. This video amazed people from all over the world, and millions of users tried to find a logical explanation. Maybe Godzilla isn't made up after all? So Canadian meteorologists calmed everyone down and explained that the breathing ground isn't impossible, but is rare. Tree expert Mark Vandervouw said it has to do less with nature absorbing oxygen and more to do with an illusion from the impressive power of nature itself. This meteorological event happens when there's an extremely strong wind blowing. Its powerful current tries to knock trees down, but they have their roots. In wetlands or in soil after serious rainfall, the soil that surrounds the root system is overwhelmed by moisture, so it easily breaks apart. That makes the soil loose and the trees sway in the wind more. This makes it seem like the moss on the trees is breathing. Vanishing Beach. This popular tourist site in Queensland, Australia, is near Rainbow Beach. It was on the news in 2018. At that time, part of the sand coast suddenly was absorbed by the water. Just a day prior, this beach was where dozens of people were relaxing in the warm weather. But early in the morning on September 24th, a mysterious hole appeared. The high tide started to absorb the ground from the coast frighteningly quickly. This video of the unusual event shows how quickly entire chunks of sand disappear into the water and how people watch in astonishment until the hole reaches the trees and is between 650 and 900 feet wide. Experts call this a landslip. It happens suddenly after enough time when there has been a critical amount of erosion under the ground. Something similar happened there in 2015 as well. A huge hole ate up tents, cars, and even a van on the coast. Constant high tides weakened the lower layers of soil until the erosion caused serious damage. The next high tide simply ate the entire coast. Now guests are asked to stay away from that area. This event proves you can never underestimate the power of nature. Sinkholes. Landslips might be scary, but huge sinkholes are even worse. Imagine the ground suddenly caving in, dragging down cars, people, and even buildings. Sinkholes can happen almost anywhere and come in various sizes. Recently, these holes have been appearing more frequently. Parts of the karstland are made up of soluble rock like limestone or gypsum. They are damaged by collapses that happen because of erosion. The water hollows out the ground, leaving a damaged layer behind. A horrible sinkhole appears when the underground hole is bigger than the layer that covers it. Then the ground suddenly falls into emptiness beneath it. A 60-foot wide and 90-foot deep sinkhole opened in Guatemala 10 years ago. It ate a 3-story factory and 15 people that sadly could not escape. An abundance of groundwater because of hurricanes and the sewer systems were to blame. However, research showed that more and more sinkholes are opening because of human activity. Rainwater gathers on uneven levels because of large buildings. The largest sinkhole currently is called Xiaozai Tinkeng, or Heavenly Pit. It's in China. It's over 2,000 feet wide and 2,200 feet deep. Imagine how long you would be falling. Fairy circles. In the desert in Namibia, there was a section of land 1,500 miles long, covered in millions of circles with infertile soil. They were called fairy circles. Each of these plots of land is completely void of vegetation, and they can be up to 20 feet across. From above, it looks like huge moths ate the ground. No one knew what caused these circles for a long time. But during a debate, experts proposed several theories. Some proposed the circles appeared because of termite colonies. These insects make holes in the ground to create a water reservoir up to 1.5 feet deep underground. But that doesn't explain why the circles are arranged like honeycombs. According to another theory, the fairy circles are the result of a kind of war between plants that create shade and hold water on the surface for their neighbors, but hinder other plants who try to use long roots to take water from the soil. New research from Princeton University showed the circles are actually from both termites and plants. Large circles appeared because of termite colonies, and the small surrounding ones are from a fight for water. Cracks in the ground. We rarely think about how the ground beneath us has changed over 2 million years. And even more unbelievably, the world that we know now will remain as it is. In 2005, a 35-mile-long crack formed in Ethiopia in just a couple of days that caused a ravine and amazed scientists. There was no earthquake there that could explain this crack. Its sudden appearance was connected to the Dabahu volcano's eruption. Ridges on the ocean floor are formed similarly from the flow of magma in a fault. But scientists didn't know that volcanic borders, especially with the African and Arabian plates that meet in Ethiopia, could break in two like that. This fissure is considered an early sign of a new ocean being born that will absorb the Red Sea over the next million years. In 2011, another seismic crack 360 feet long and 5 feet deep appeared near a river in Michigan on an anti-seismic peninsula to the north of Menominee. Locals say they heard a huge crack. The Menominee zigzag moved a forest and ripped trees from their roots because the deposits of limestone suddenly burst upwards, stretching the upper layer of clay. Considering the climate is currently changing, it's completely believable that these anomalies will happen more often. Methane craters. On June 28, 2017, hunters from Siak in Siberia said they heard a crack and then saw flames and smoke. Scientists that went to research what happened discovered a huge crater that just appeared near the river. It was unique. But another crater like it appeared in Tumen Oblast in July. The reason for these mysterious exploding craters is likely hidden in the secret of the permafrost. Dead plants and animals that stayed there suddenly began to absorb and process methane that poured out of the ground. The Arctic is getting warmer, and the permafrost is melting faster than ever before. So everything buried in it is releasing combustible gas. According to new research, about 100 craters like these appeared on the bottom of the Arctic Ocean about 11,600 years ago when the ice sheet retreated, releasing frozen methane. Scientists that research these methane holes in the Siberian tundra think these craters could quickly appear in greater numbers because the planet is heating. Some people even believe that our planet could suddenly explode, and that should be the reason we change our poor ecological habits. Quicksand. We can all imagine a brave researcher that got caught in quicksand somewhere in the desert. But this natural phenomenon is much more common than it seems. Quicksand can be almost anywhere where the ground has an abundance of water. It's much more likely near a water source of wetlands. When the sand, clay, or silt is overfilling with water, and it is disturbed by some motion, the tension between the particles decreases, and it creates liquefied soil that can't support your weight. The surface seems solid and even sturdy, but even a small amount of pressure can make the ground start moving in various directions, leading to heavy objects being absorbed. Since the human body is less dense than quicksand, you won't drown in it unless you fall in head first. But you should still stay calm, so you aren't sucked in more. It seems like they're fun to stand in, but it's better to watch them from afar than to regret it later. Lawn blisters. Many people have a yard, but you've probably never seen anything like this before. These pleasant grass bubbles are called lawn blisters. They appear when water accumulates under the grass between the plastic covering and the turf. It's usually from precipitation or water from a broken underground pipe. Although in polar areas like Siberia, where 15 of these blisters were found on the Bili Island, they are caused there from melting permafrost and methane release. Sometimes the blisters appear near homes, but they are usually seen on golf courses. For example, this course in Canada had a blister 18 inches tall. It was made from a broken underground pipe. If possible, these pleasant underground bubbles need to be dried out carefully to keep the soil from breaking. But if your region doesn't have long rain showers or frosts, it's unlikely you'll ever see the bubbles. Well, that's all for today. Leave a like and a comment. Tell me which one of these do you think was the most interesting natural phenomena, and we'll see you again next time.